Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lili Nishmas Imi Marotsurus Mordechai. Dear Belly, it's been a year since I was walking around like a normal person, so I thought I wasn't working at the time, so I spent my day home trying to find a job, sending out my resume, waiting for answers. I was doing the Daf, Shnai Mikro of HaTorah, a little Musar, but afterwards it was all YouTube. So he's mentioning Shnai Mikro of HaTorah. I want to tell the Oilam like this. We like to push Shnai Mikro of HaTorah right around Simchas Torah time. I thought to myself on Shabbos, it's a much better idea to start today. Why? Because we have some very easy parashas coming up. This week it's only 70 psukim, next week 40, then 50, something like that. 70, 50, and 40.
Don't do it with Rashi.
No Rashis, don't do Rashis, especially not in Bereshis. A lot of people start off strong. We're going to do Shnai Mikra with Rashi. If you're not a mumcha, then it's not kedai. So, start out the Shnai Mikra today. You get some experience and you make it part of your habit. Once you get to, in a month from now, you'll get, there's a few free weeks during Chalamayid or whatever. Once you get it into your system, it'll be a lot easier. What does he say? Then it happened, I got sick, hospitalized, aspirate pneumonia. He's behind 3 daf. He has his wife, he needs his phone. Rebelli said to skip ahead, catch up later. I told her there's a b'char. Kitzer, what happened? One night I stayed up to watch the live shir, and at the time you used to come on and shmuz with the chevra. I'm not sure who mentioned that I was in the hospital. You did something that gave me the strength to get better. You gave me a bracha for shleima. My life changed. I don't waste time on YouTube. Just a little note of appreciation. Your Talmud Arnov. Here he is. Arnov. I made the Siyum, Bamitzia, Jackson, my house, Bava Basra, since the Dorim, Daf, Nun, Zayin. Somebody wrote a while ago, this morning I was listening to your shir on YouTube and you gave a shout out to Arnov from Lakewood, who was making a Siyum. He came on a video for a moment and I recognized him. We were in camp together somewhere between 35 and 40 years ago, and to my recollection, I was very mean to him. I tried for many years to find him, to apologize unsuccessfully. I emailed MDY for his contact information, got a quick response and texted him. We spoke a few minutes ago, and I was finally able to apologize after all these years. So this is Erev Rosh Hashanah. Through MDY, people are asking Mechila. He suggested I let you know. He said he doesn't remember. This guy even left his name on this email, but I took it out. Zechariah for enabling me to apologize to Michiel. Shalom Rebelli was flying home from a business trip, not in business class, from a business trip, learning the daf with you. It's JetBlue over there. I heard you say something about, I always want to know if anybody learns our share on an airplane. No, that's not what I said. I said, I would like to catch somebody learning my daf. I know many people sent in pictures of themselves learning on a plane, or other people took from them. I just want to be zocher to find one. Since I have 2 phones, it was easy to validate your suspicions. Thanks for keeping us focused on Torah no matter where we are. Ksiva v'chasima toiva David Lifshitz. Boys, big news. There's a famous Hasidish booklet that comes out every week. It's called Divach. And I don't know how many times they had a guy without a beard in this book, but here it is, finally. Made it into the G'daylim picture book. The Hasidish G'daylim picture. So it takes a lot of guts on their side, so I really appreciate it. You know those, the Vach? Here. No, this one. See, it says on the bottom, the Vach. Okay. Anyway, just thought I'll share. Dear Rebelli, I'm still on a high from the incredible trip to the Kvarim. Something I've been wanting. What are you laughing like? I'm sugar. Making fun of me right in my face. Look at he's not enjoying himself. You got a special zoom on him? Can't control himself. Something I've been wanting to do all my life but never got to do. It was incredible, actually, to see how many people on the trip have never been to Poland, including myself. Never. I really wanted to be there, to go there. Huh? Poland itself. I'll tell you the truth. I thought I was going to go to Poland. It's going to be like one of these countries. It was a beautiful country. I can't say the same about Belarus. I don't want to say anything about Belarus because you never know where the KGB is. But Poland was a very nice country. Huh?
It's a very good country. Fertilized with
Exactly.
Oh, what, Poland?
Yeah.
Yeah, but doesn't, I'm talking about the aesthetic.
Beautiful. Disgusting.
That could be. What does it have to do with the beauty of the country?
It's not beautiful. It's a horrible place.
Okay, it's an ugly place. Very ugly. Yeah,
Ugly.
fish from the dam for years after the war because they were fed on the Jewish baby.
You're right. And what does that have to do with the beautiful buildings?
It's disgusting.
Okay, it's disgusting. You sound like my mother-in-law. She said Switzerland is disgusting because they're anti-Semites. Okay.
It is.
What does that have to do? But it's still nice. It's a nice place. I'm sorry. The atmosphere. Okay, good. This is. Huh?
How come the two people that weren't there complaining?
I was there.
Ooh. The atmosphere in detail was also superb, and it was amazing to see what a daf preparation involves. The entire trip was one big dream. The Mesiras Nefesh, do you have an eye-opener for the cloud? I'll skip that a little bit. I'll just tell you a little bit of the guy over here. Unimaginable, zchusim are endless. I love this year, and yes, it includes the entire deal, including the emails. Including the emails, Mendy. You know what's going on here? Listen to the emails. Stop learning Torah over there. They give me chizik for the day.
Stop learning.
No, it gives him chizik for the day. And the clarity that he managed to get us all through the daf each and every day is a gift. You know, my father gives that 7 daf shir. So a guy wrote me an email. He said, your father said in his Shem Furish that milsa de b'dichusa doesn't mean jokes. It means agadata. So how can we be giving jokes before your father said against you? Okay. Thank you again for letting me come on this trip, and I already look forward to the next one, wherever it may take us. Wherever it may take us. I was just medayik now. Because I went around asking the people. Yossi said we have to go next time. We have to go next year to Kvarim. I said no. Next year we'll go to safari. So I went from guy to guy without making a whole tour. I said, where would you prefer? Do another one like this or the safari? Safari. Safari. One starky guy said no. So he's saying wherever it may take us. Being in your Dal Rams itself is a treat. Shkoyach. Don't worry about the Einiklach going to Utah. My Einiklach are going to Utah. They're basically out of Eretz Yisrael now, on the way to Utah. Tell your wife that there are Einiklach in every city in the world. All your Talmidim are their children, and Talmidim and their children are yours. Behind your tremendous zchusim stands a very special Chayil, and all your zchusim are hers. May the Rebbeinu Shalom give you brios, harchavas adas, continue to do Yahrzeit HaKodesh, lead us to Mashiach, b'meir b'meinu. Sichasim Toiva, gratefully a Talmud, Yedidia Pereira, Lakewood, New Jersey. Do we have a second? Okay, this is the last one. I just saw all your shiurim in Europe, this is in Hebrew, and I was very inspired, not from the Kivrei Tzadikim, I'm a very cold Litvak, but to see you give shiurim in all these funny holes in the wall. Mila, Begidulim, even for Chorim. I just stuck in holes, doesn't... in English, it's holes in the walls. Gotta take your money, even for... Something moved in me. Wow. So I always thought that Americans have something that crazy. Now I see that when you take the Mishigas into learning, you can push it to go into different places with Mishigas. Okay, you become a Meshuggah for Torah. It's unbelievable. Today, he says, we're mamish smack in the middle, in the center of Bava Basra. We just finished halfway through Bava Basra. We should all have a Shana Toiva, Mesuka. The Koil for the month is sponsored by Binyomin Rosenfeld for Atzlocha in business. Just to mention, the Koil of the month is $10,000. The Masechta for safe and speedy return for all the hostages. Parnas HaChodesh, Linishma Zchai b'Moshe, Linishma Zchai b'As Yosef. Parnas HaChodesh. Eli Stefansky and Dr. Moshe Tzvi Dauber and Abba Renner for refuah, shleima, and safe speedy return of our Chayalim. Parnas HaChodesh matching Rebelli's donation is zchut Chayalim for the month. Parnas HaChodesh, Binyomin Rosenfeld, who just donated $10,000 for the Koil of the month, sponsoring another $2,600 for all the zchusim that come from supporting limud HaTorah. He was on the trip with us. Simon Rosenfelder, in memory of my late mother, Miriam Rivka, Bat, R Yitchak, on her 45th yahrzeit. Parnas Hayoim, to the Israeli soldiers to be safe while risking their lives daily. Art of the month for Schus for Rebelli and the whole MDY staff, and continue to make Torah so enjoyable to so many. Voisa, here we are. Daf, Pei, Tes, Amud Aleph. Foot. Shouldn't put my foot. Standing, here's the line of Bava Basra, 1 foot here, 1 foot here. What's the shayla? And the shayla is, where are you? Are you in this side of Bava Basra or you this side of Bava Basra? Okay. Here's a riddle. It's something we just learned yesterday or the day before, but we have another one today. What isser in the Torah are you over even before you do the isser? And before you do the isser, you just had it the other day. Anybody?
Anything you think about Torah. Think about another.
Very good. You hear what Rabari says? You heard what Rabari says? Nothing. You hear what Rabari said?
What Rabbi said that? What he said? But is that scales?
No, he said scales. Preparing the scale, even without weighing. What did we learn 2 days ago? Anybody remember what we learned 2 days ago? No. I see you know. No. If you're a shomer pikadon and you just think about taking the aveda, the thing you're over. Okay. So says the Gemara 3 lines down from the top. Pay test Amud Aleph. If the minig is to use a larger, what is it called? The kli that you measure, a measuring cup, a large measuring cup. So you're not supposed to use a small measuring cup. Simon. So we're going to go through like 11, 12 different sugyas here. Ein ma'ainin ve'ein goychim bar gardemin belitra shleisha ve'eser nefesh mishkalois memachak ove lo yisasu lo yaser. Tanarabban. Menayin shemoichakim b'mokim shegoychin ve'ein goychim b'mokim shemoichakim. Imagine you had to remember this entire sugya, all 12 different things here. So they made some sort of simon. Some people have easier time to remember 12 words straight. I guess you make it inside. It's very difficult to remember all this. Again, here we have this, might as well use it. If it's over like this overage over here is 30%. It's supposed to be 30%. If the minig HaMakom is to sell like that, you're not allowed to sell it like this. Even if the buyer says, don't worry about it. Go like that. I don't care. You're not allowed to. And vice versa. If the minig is to do this way, you're not allowed to go this way. Why? Because if people see what's going on here, they won't know that that's the minig. They'll think the minig is what they're doing right now. And you'll come to lose. Either the buyer will lose or the seller will lose. You as a buyer, let's say you're a seller, and you see that you this one time got a nice heap. You're going to go sell in this city, and you think everybody gets heaps. So you're going to sell your stuff with a heap. And in reality, you could sell it without a heap. So you, as the seller, are going to lose. So it's for the people that see, you're not allowed to do it, even if you're moichel. Shleima. It should be perfect. And you need to do it in a perfection, so nobody that's watching from the side makes a mistake. So we're talking about 3 different things today. We're talking about a measuring vessel, adding to it. The Torah says no matter what, you always have to add a little bit. If you sell somebody a pound of stuff, you have to add a little bit. If you're with the scale, and it's a place that you do 50-50, you have to add a little bit on the scale. Or you have to tilt the scale downwards. You have to give the buyer always gets a little bit more. That's in the Torah. So we're going to say the same exact thing twice over here, because one is in a measuring device and one is with weights. He even says, I'll take off from the top, I'll make it nice and even, and I'll take off 1/3 of the money. Or I'll even add in a place that the minig is not to add. And the buyer says, I want this amount. I want a little bit more than a pound. I'll pay him 30% more. We don't listen to him. Again, because it could bring to big issues. So let's bring this out again. Meinen is exactly even, a balanced scale. And if it's balanced, you just have to add what?
Choose the amount I want. What does that mean?
You could, but not in a scale. Not in a scale. We are very, very careful. You can make another deal. You can do whatever you want, but not in a scale. I can't use a weight that I want a weight that's off. I want a weight that's I'll tell you. No, you can't. It brings issues. It's too many problems. Back in the day, showed you videos. I'll show you again different videos. By the way, this is a picture of Gershi rose in Morocco with these beautiful spices, but that's Gadush. You see how it's overflowing. If the minig is to do 50-50, like here in Eretz Yisrael when they sold watermelons, it was a balanced scale. And you mechuyev to add a little bit more. But machriyin means to do this. We said a tefach depends on the produce, what it is. You have to literally tilt the scale. You sell them a pound, and then you tilt the scale even more. You say, put on more zchorya. Obviously, if you're selling gold, you're not going to tip it a pound, a tefach, because that'll be tens of thousands of dollars. So each product based on what you're selling. Same thing that we said before, just now we're talking about a scale. A person says, I want to do a balanced scale in a place that they tip the scale, and I'll take off a little bit. Or I want to tip the scale, I'll add something. We don't listen to him. I want to do my own deal. No, there has to be a certain way that everybody does business so that nobody cheats. Tremendous. This is a gadita. Says Rabbi Yehuda from Surah, from Syria. It says in the Torah, the question is, why does the Torah say where you shouldn't have it? You shouldn't have in your office, in school, at work. Well, what's beveischa? Matam mishum eifa ve'eifa. He says, you know why you don't have money in your house, in your bank account? You know why you don't have money? Mishum eifa ve'eifa, because you hold a cheating measuring device. That's why Hashem punished you. You know why you don't have money in your wallet? Matam mishum even ve'even, because you are in possession of a faulty weight. So Hashem paid you back, mida keneged mida. You're trying to cheat people and make money in the wrong way. So Hashem says, okay, I'm going to take your money away. Nachamal, we're holding my Rosh Hashanah. This is the time that you daven for Parnasa. Whatever Hashem decides on Rosh Hashanah, that's what you get. So you're going to cheat 25 more people. You're not going to get a dime more. Fakert. Maybe it's the opposite, like the Chassam Sofer said back then. Or come through tsar or whatever, and Hashem at the end will take from you. But if you deal with yashrus, shleima, you're perfect. So at the end of the day, you'll have money. You won't have this mida keneged mida, and you'll have your parnasa. Tana Rabbana, yelach lo yelach melamed shemamidim agardim in limidos. We put officers in charge of the weights and measures. They have that in the States. They have that here in Eretz Yisrael as well. There's people in charge. They go to the gas stations. They want to see if it's exactly a liter. They come into, anybody that has a store that has a scale, they'll come in once in a while, unannounced. Benny, who has a butcher shop, said once a year you have to verify the exact weights of your scales. And they come in and they check. They do spot checks. The Rashbam sticks in. They beat people up. They become physical with you. So I have an interesting video here. I thought this is just what happens in the world. And if you don't know, here, this is a gardaman. This guy was caught red-handed. The scale goes down. The more it goes down, the more it weighs, right? So it says 6.5 kilo here for that whole sack. They found a stone underneath it that doesn't allow the metal to come down. Now if you weigh it, he zeroed it out, okay, 0. 9.5 kilo, not 6.5, 9.5. 50% more. That's the gardaman guy. Later on in the video, he beats him up. No, I don't know. I have no idea. However, for pricing, we don't put officers for pricing. You want to charge more? You know what's going to happen? People will find out. They know. So I asked the shayla yesterday, but on Amazon, you always see something's for $25. Then there's one chacham that charges $35. So I thought that it's for the shaitim that don't look and they push that. So they told me yesterday, no. The guy that that's selling for 25, he puts the 35. So you think that you're getting a good deal. You look through, I'm getting the 25. That's what they said. Akapanim, you don't need to waste your time with policing pricing. People figure it out very quickly, and if you charge too much, they'll close you down. The Nasi said, no, we gotta make sure that people don't overcharge. Shmuel tells Karna, I want you to go announce to the Olam that we will put the officers for weights and measurements, but not for pricing. He did something not nice. Shmuel told him to say it one way, and he said it differently. He said, we will put officers for the pricing. By the way, I wrote in my Gemara here, very interesting. I wrote on Friday when I was learning the Sugya, I stuck in real quickly to tell the Olam about when Ramaylich Biderman came into Bet Shemesh, on Lag Ba'omer, people charging $5,000 for a one-bedroom apartment, whatever it is. If you saw the thing, this week in the Mishpacha, they had a whole article about that Hasidim that live like in, the Rebbe lives in Geula, different Hasidus and Bells. Who? B'yana Rebbe. So they come there, they want to come there for Yontiv, and people destroy them. They take it for a little day. So Biyan said, no more women for Yontiv, and no more renting. We don't allow anybody to rent anything. We will put you up. Bells has a thing. You can only charge 1,500 shekel for one bedroom and a certain amount for two bedrooms. We'll decide the pricing. You don't like it? Our Hasidim won't rent from you. So that's a gardaman. That's people that are in charge of pricing. Because otherwise, Hafkah Sharim. So, Omalei, Shmuel is very unhappy with him. I told you to tell people we will not put policing on the pricing, and you go and you announce to people that we will. Mashmach, what's your name? Karna. My name is Karna. Typically Karna Beine. You should have a horn growing out of your eye. Nafkali Karna Beine. In fact, the horn grew out of his eye. They explain, and we had it before, because we had the same exact story with Rav. He upset Rav also. And Rav asked him, what's your name? Karna, and then a horn grew out of his eye. So, I didn't see this anywhere, but my Chavros was asking him. We had the same exact thing with Levi. Levi, the Gemara says that he bowed in a certain way and he became a cripple. Kida. He did Kida, but the Gemara somewhere else says that he deserved it for a different reason. He insulted somebody and he got it over there. So the Rishonim explained that it's a combination. The two things. Over here also, you have Rav and Shmuel, they both cursed him. Eventually, something grew out of his eye, like they say it's a cataract or maybe some sort of giant pimple, whatever. And we also see throughout Shas that your name reflects who you are and what you are. Your name is Karen. So it's a Karen. But why did Karna announce this? Although the Gemara even said the Nasi did it like that. We do put policing on the pricing, not only on the weights and measures. Who's the Ramai? So the Rishbam says the Ramai is, it happens a lot of times, like Erev Shabbos, the guy runs out of challah. Yeah? Runs out of challah. So now this big chacham, now he pulls out his challah, he starts selling it for double the price. No more fish, Erev Shabbos. So then that's a Ramai. That's illegal. So you're saying that when it comes to pricing, people will check you, they'll make sure that you don't overprice. Not true. When it comes to Erev Shabbos, you know how to get people, and they won't check you. They'll pay the full price. They know they're getting overcharged, but they'll pay because they need it. Esrogim, no. Esrogim, the opposite. Erev Yontif, that's when the price goes down. I was going to say that, but it's not true. He wanted to buy a certain weight, a liter, weight of a liter, whatever that is. Shogalei litra. Not a big chiddush. Then he'll weigh him a liter. Chetzi litra, shogalei chetzi litra. Reviya litra, shogalei reviya litra. What's the chiddush here? Yeah, if I want a quarter of a liter, I'm going to weigh it with a quarter of a liter. The maskaninon maskalei adhachi, that the smallest weight is a quarter of a liter, nothing less than that. In other words, we don't want to have official weights that are less than a quarter because people will be confused. Benny, who's sitting right over there, said last night that That's what it is in Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, there's a kilo, a half a kilo, and a quarter of a kilo when it comes to containers and that sort of stuff. So something similar. But let's say I want a little bit more, so you use coins. Coins, everybody knows what the weight is, how much they weigh, and what to do, and they'll use the coin. But in terms of official weights, like these guys right over here, these are official weights. Yeah, I mean they're not really, but it's a ki'ilu. So there's a certain amount, and for whatever reason, I put this by myself one time, and it works out perfect because this is a coin. That's what the Rashbam says. They use coins. Oh, we have a picture here. Not that you need it, but actually the picture helped last night. Let's say I want 3/4 of a pound of meat. So one way I could do it is I take a 1/4 pound weight, and I weigh 3/4 pound pieces of meat, and I'll get 3/4 of a pound. I'll do it 3 times. Don't do it like that, says the Gemara. What do? You do it this way. You take 3 pieces of meat, plus a 1/4 pound on one side of the scale, and then you take a 1 liter on the other side, and it weighs equal. What do I gain by this? I gain that it's 1 weighing instead of 3 weighings. If I have to do 3/4 pounds, it's 3 weigh. If I do it like this, it's 1 weight. What do I gain? In terms of math, you don't gain anything. Why? Because when I have to add, the guy has to add. Okay, so he adds. So I'll add 3 times to 1/4 liter. And when you add 1 time to 1 liter, you're adding the same amount. Yeah? It's all relative to the weight. Yeah, it's not a pinch. It's going to be a significant amount. Just like we said, Gadush is 30%. So it doesn't matter if you have 10 kalim like this or 1 kli, it's always 30% more. So it's the same thing. But what is the difference then? The difference is when you're in a rush, you're selling. You're selling. You have a line of people waiting to buy meat, and you have to do this 3 times. She's just going to throw onto the scale a bunch more. You don't have the patience to sit there and do exactly what the amount you need. So the seller is going to lose because he has to do it 3 times. He's in a rush. He wants to get you out of there. Do it once. Do it menschlich. Do it calmly, and the seller won't lose. A guy wanted to buy 3/4 of something. Don't do it 3 times with a 1/4. Do it a full liter. The Rashbam points out something very interesting. That we're talking about over here a place that they measure it balanced. Why? Because if we're talking about a place that they go like this, they tip the scale, he says it's not fair. You're pulling down the scale against what? Against 3/4 of a pound of meat and 1/4 of a pound metal. So you're pulling the scale down against metal. You're giving him more. You go like this here. Let's say this is food and there's also metal here. And I have to tip my scale this way. So what am I fighting against? I'm fighting against metal. I'm filling this up with food against metal. That's not fair. Metal shouldn't be my opponent. Food could be my opponent. So Mameli says,
weight is a weight. It doesn't matter what the object is.
no. But you don't deserve, it's not true. You don't deserve for me to pull down the scale when you only have 3/4 of a pound. Let's say you had 500 pounds of weight over here and 1 pound of meat and I had to pull down the scale. I'm giving you for the metal, not for the meat that you're buying. So Mela, he says we're talking about a place that's equal. Okay, fine. Let's say the same exact halacha basically. If a guy wanted 10 liters, don't do it 10 times. You do it 1 time, not 10 times, because 10 times the seller will lose. Very simple stuff, Rabbi say. Here's what Yoshi did. A nefesh, what we're talking about is this centerpiece right over here. The what? The fulcrum, it's called in English, if you really want to know the exact article word. But the pivot is a good way to call it, pivot. This has to be distance from the ceiling 3 tfachim. Why? Because check it out. When you tip the scale, so this piece of metal called the Chana goes up. Here, maybe zoom in on me. Now we'll take that picture off for a second. It goes up, and this could hit the ceiling. It'll stop. It won't give you enough. There's not enough clearance to tip the scale. So you need clearance, 3 tfachim. It also depends how long this kana is. If it's very, very long, you're going to need more tfachim because it's going to hit even easier. If it's very short, you need less. The longer this is, the more sensitive it is for different weights. Yeah, hold on a second. The pans, so here, check this out. Here's a scale that's attached to the ceiling. So you can see that the kana shouldn't be close to the ceiling 3 tvachim, because look what happens if it is. That is the ceiling. Okay. Now, the pans themselves also should not be distance from the floor 3 tvachim, because here, like this pan right over here is hitting the floor, and it doesn't allow this to go up completely. What are we talking about right now? What product are we talking about? It doesn't say. It says nefesh miznayim tluya ba'aver shleisha tvachim. Are we talking about gold, or are we talking about heavy metal? What are we talking about? V'kanu misna shelo shnei masot tvachim. Misna are these strings that hold it. I'm assuming there was 3 strings there, although the Rashbam says 2. I think he's referring to, I didn't look into it a lot, but I think he's talking about the 2 sides. Bekitzer, let's say it's 3 strings, so it's 12 tvachim, meaning each one is 4 tvachim. 3 times 4 is 12, unless he means this is 3 plus 2 strings, but I don't know how in the world it would hold if it was only 2 strings. It would tip over, no? Doesn't make sense. Okay, so I think he's saying 3. People that sell wool here, these are the wool guys. Bishel Zagogim, where's the Zagogin guys? Zagogin, these are the glassware guys. It's all the same guys selling basically the same things, I think. They all look the same. Oh, we're not going back to the meat now. Sorry. Now, because people purchase smaller amounts, so the scale is a smaller scale, so it's only 2 tavach from the ceiling and 2 tavach off the ground. This could be either a scale like this, or it could also be from the ceiling. But the point is, it shouldn't be close to the ground. 3 tvachim, 2 tvachim. A store owner he has a tefach, different type of scale. 1 tefach off the ground. A total of 6. In other words, 2, 2, and 2. Each string is 2. There was a tzaddik that came to a certain guy. Let's say a rebbe came to a certain balabas, and the balabas was getting very upset. He said, every time a chassid comes to visit the rebbe, he comes in with his dirty boots full of mud, and my whole house is dirty, dragging in the mud. And then he dreamt, as he's on the Hasidim, he dreamt, and he says, he came to the Shemaim, he couldn't get in. So you don't have enough mitzvahs. But then they took all the mud off the boots, and they put it on the other side of the scale, and it tipped the scale. The mud tipped the scale. In Shemaim, they have the scale. We have to make sure that we have enough mitzvahs to tip it. Zog the Gemara. Shisha tvachim. Oh, I have to tell you, I said this before a bunch of times, but it's kedai. Back in the day, the baker was very upset at the milkman. He said, "You're cheating me. Every time you give me a pound of butter, it's always missing a bunch. 10% is always off." So he sued him. He brought him to Beis Din, and they found out in Beis Din that the milk guy doesn't even have weights. He uses a loaf of bread that's supposed to be a pound to weigh everything. So in fact, it was the baker was the ganav, not the milkman. Mum shebacha atoymer lechavercha. B'shel trutani tluya ba'avir sholish etzbois. Oh, trutani. Oh, this. I'm sure Mendy's going to get all excited to see this one. This is a trutani. Familiar with these guys? You don't do diamonds on these things, huh? What are they? Jewelry. This is what they use. You know. This would have been good. I'm going to tell Itzko to get me one of these. We need to upgrade. These are the weights. Oh, we had here. This is Tluya Ba'avir. This guy is giving a class. This is Mamish. This thing is actually. You see, it's hanging from the ceiling. All the kids are watching. He's teaching them how to cheat the other people. No. All the tricks of the trade. School, hands on. Unbelievable. Okay. For gold. Okay. Gold is so delicate. It's a very small scale, so it's 3 fingers off the ceiling, off the floor. I don't know. But we started off, it says it has to be 3 tefachim off the floor, off the ceiling. What product are we talking about exactly? The Goroime says the Rashbam, we're talking about metal. It's very heavy. It's a different type of scale. It's a very large, it's a bigger scale, so it's 3 tefachim off the ceiling. Oh, the turning of the daf is sponsored by CITRONFILMS. Where is he? Here he is. He's here. Givaldik. Now I'm going to watch you every single day, Yaakov. Used to sit over there, now over there. I don't know what you're doing. And Lilu Nishmas, the 6 hostages that were murdered. I saw just last night, somebody sent me, what's the Ger Rosh Hashiva's name? Shalal. He went to be Menachem Oval, the from couple. Danino. What's the name? Danino. Yeah. Sat there, gave them a lot of. It was very nice. Okay. Omer Amani Bar Patish. No, I'm just saying the achtas. You see a ger Rosh Shiva in front of a guy that slightly. I don't know. I wouldn't call him yeshivish, but he was, Svardi with a. So if this scale is illegal to use, why? Because it's not far enough from the ceiling, it's not far enough from the floor, so I can't use it. If I can't use it, then it's not a kli. If it's not a kli, it's not susceptible to tumah. It's not makabel tumah. Huh? Oh! Avrami Abowitz. I wanted to say Shalom Aleichem to him. Yishkoyach. Avrami Abowitz, who works in Keter. That's you? Oh, that's him. Shalom Aleichem. How you doing? I hear that Mark Ashkenazi bumped into you. So Shalom Aleichem. Yishkoyach for doing the shir. And you're coming to Shabbaton? You can shake your head. Yes or no? Givaldik. Okay. Cool. I like this. We got to get people on Zoom. It's very, very gishmak. Avrami Abowitz. Something like that. Yeah. So this kli is not makabel tumah. However, just pay attention that, let's say this plate right over here is makabel tumah because as is, it's a plate. But the rest, the string, if I touch this and I'm tamein, the whole thing doesn't become tumah. But if it's a kli, if the whole weight system is a kli, it's a vessel. So if I touch it over here, the tumah spreads throughout the whole thing. My kamash, what's the big chiddush? Tanina, we already learned chut miznayim. This little string that holds the plate, shel chemveni, if it's a store owner, shel balibatim tefach, the size of tefach, meaning that anything less than that is not makabel tumah. So says the Gemara, no, the chiddush is this guy, this bar over here on top, that we didn't know how much it is, and that's why I needed to tell the shiur for everything. It doesn't say. The actual weight has to be made out of special material. It cannot be made out of tin, which could get damaged, and it starts off as a pound, and a few days later it's already 3/4 of a pound. And not of lead, which is also very delicate. And not alloy, and not from other types of metals. You can make it out of a stone, certainly out of a glass. Glass doesn't wear down, it could chip, but you can never, you can use it 1,000 times, it's going to stay the same exact size. And mechak is this guy, where was it? I lost him. Here he is. This thing that you go like this on the kli, what is it made out of? So the Gemara tells us it's very, very important. There's a lot of halachas here. This little kli. Do not make it out of watermelon. Out of pumpkin. It's too light. So if it's too light, it won't remove enough. So the store owner is going to lose. And on the flip side, don't make it out of metal. It's too heavy. It'll dig into and take off a little bit. I'm not exactly familiar with the exact metzias, how it works, how does it take off, not take off. But as I state, you make it out of wood, v'shel egois, v'shel shikma, v'shel eshbroya, and baxwood. So this is what we came up with yesterday, according to Kobe himself. I wasn't 100% sure of the metzias. This makes more sense now. You see how one side is very thin and one side is thick. If you use the same vessel, let's say use the thin side will take off more. Just as an example here, something that's very thin, like a very thin edge, could take off more than a thick edge. So what you could do is you could flip it and use it for your advantage. Shleima, when I was younger, I was a balavera shtickle, and I went to Madison Square Gardens for a shear. And there was a non-yid outside scalping tickets. So I went to him and he said he wants a certain amount of money for the tickets. No. It was a basketball game. I used to go to basketball games.
Right.
Oh, no, he was not there. I didn't see that. Anyway, so the guy says he wants a certain amount of money. So I said, wait, time out. The game started already. You can't ask me for full price. It's 10 minutes into the game. So he says he shows me his watch. In those days, nobody had cell phones. You didn't know what time it was. He shows me the game didn't start. I know the game started. I heard on the radio on the way there. The watch, it says it's 10 minutes before 8, whatever it is. 10 to 8. Okay, fine. I keep on walking, and I bought tickets. And now I'm stuck with the original tickets that I have. I don't know. I want to get rid of them. So I go back to the same guy. He didn't recognize me. So you want to buy tickets? He goes, what are you, crazy? The game started 20 minutes ago. I said, the game started 20 minutes ago. Check your watch. He goes, I will check my watch. This end. He looks over here. He shows me the game started 20 minutes ago. True story. These guys are mumchim. Okay? So, if you have this device over here, it depends if you're if you're the buyer, you're the seller. You're the buyer. You don't want it to, what do you want? Because or whatever you want. If you want it to be more heat, use the thick part. You want it to go down into it, you use the thin part. And look, I only use one device, but you flip it over this way, you flip it over that way. Now you also, listen, you got to know how to do it. You can't do it fast. If you do it really fast, then you're going to miss something. You're not going to take off the right amount. If you miss, so now the seller sold you more product. It's good for the buyer. And don't do it really, really slow and lazy. Now you're going to take off too much. Bekitzer, you have to use the right kli, the right speed. Says the Gemara. Now, if you know these tricks, you could cheat people. You can go really fast. You go, you just learned the Gemara. You go really fast. It doesn't take off a lot. Or fakir, depends if you're the buyer, the seller, what you're doing. So says Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, oiliim oimar, oiliim lo oimar. Yeah? Some guys come to the shir just to learn, the shtick that the Gemara says. They don't come mamish to learn. Chas v'shalom, chas v'shalom. So what do I do? If I teach it in shir, then I'm going to create more ganavim. I'm going to teach the tricks. I had yeshiva guys in my house on Shabbos, and I was talking to them about Gneva. I told them the story that I had an argument with somebody about the airplane, about luggage. So the guy says, he says, we sneak in to a certain place. We pay tickets. No, we sneak in. I said, how you sneak in? So he told me the trick. There's a trick. I don't know the trick. I didn't know it until then. He told me. You can sneak in. He says, is that gneva? So why not? So you didn't know it's gneva. He thought it's shtick. You know, they're able to say, they pay for 8 and they get 10 guys to come in. The guys don't know. But you need to know the tricks. Are you allowed to teach the tricks? Because you say, this and this trick is also. A guy wrote me an email yesterday. I have it here actually. Wrote me an email. He's like, what that guy did is unsophisticated gneva. To put your foot underneath the suitcase. I have a better way, he says. But I don't want you to read my email because then maybe if it's wrong what I did, then other people are going to learn how to do it and I don't want to be over. Basically, he says, I'm not going to say the whole trick, but he says like if you get a certain credit card, which allows you to cancel after a certain amount of time, you could get free suitcases or whatever. That's how you do it. Okay, I'm not going to go into the whole trick. But he says that's what he had. He was flying to Florida. It came out to $280. So you upgrade your credit card, and that's it. And you get free suitcases, he says. But if you teach this stuff and you say, okay, this and this trick is awesome. So people are going to start signing up for credit cards and doing the shtick. Are you allowed to do that or not? And if I don't say this in shir, they'll say, Talmidei Chachamim are naive. They say a ma'aseh about Rabbi Avram Genachovsky, whole sefer about his midas tovas, how crazy midas. Yeah, he was in a taxi, and the taxi driver did what a lot of taxi drivers do. Unfortunately, he overcharged him. So now, Rabbi Avram Genachovsky, if you read the sefer, he's not the type of guy who's going to start arguing with this guy. Well, you told me 10 shekel, now you're taking 15. So he has a dilemma here. What do you do? If I don't say anything to the guy, then he'll do it again to the next guy with the white beard, the naive guy. So he told him, he says, you and I both know that you just overcharged me. But you know what? You're such a nice guy and such a tzaddik, I'm going to give you what you're asking. So he's moidia him that I know, so don't do it to the next guy. Make him feel a little guilty, but he's not going to fight with him. So I don't want, says Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai, I don't want people to think that Talmidei Chachamim are naive and they don't know about the tricks. So Meila, I said it. Ibaylu. Amara oiloi Amara. Did he actually say this in shir or not? Amar Shmuel bar R Yitchak Amara. He did say it in shir. Umaikra Amara. And he had a pasuk. Ki yisharim darchei Hashem v'tzadikim yelchu bam u'poishim yikashlu bam. The straight people will go with it, and the poishim, those who are the sinners, they will stumble upon it. I'm going to say it, and the tzaddikim are going to take it to the right place, and the rishonim are not. This is a very controversial thing here. I figured I'll say it, why not? Because I'm Mr. Controversial. I want to preface this by saying that I love Hasidim, and I work really hard to get Hasidim this year, and I completely understand they brought a tremendous amount to this world, and in this star especially, that it happens to be that the shir, I started this year thinking about Hasidus and about how the Baal Shem Tov, he went with a new mahalach sort of in Yiddish in Avodas Hashem. I said, okay, shir also has to be. We have to maybe change it up a little bit.
You just compared yourself to the Baal Shem Tov.
I did not. I said I learned from the Baal Shem Tov. Go back to sleep, please. So I think now I'm chapping. It's better maybe that you shouldn't be up. When you're up, this is what you're saying. I'm here live. I did not say that. I said, I learned from the Baal Shem Tov a tremendous insight that sometimes, whatever, bitulo zeu kiyuma, or whatever it is. So, there's something that a lot of people don't discuss, because it's very controversial. And I said this by the Vilna Gaon's Kaver, so I'll repeat it here. And that is that there's a lot of Hasidim that are upset. They have like a certain taina against the Vilna Gaon, because the Vilna Gaon, when Hasidus came out, he put them in Chayrim. And they have a certain taina. So just to explain, I'm not going into the whole thing. It's a very, very long sugya. But one nekuda that I realized is Hasidim are known to not change a thing. They don't change the levush. Whatever they wore in Europe, this is what they wear today. Even though it's outdated or whatever, they stick to it. They're Havara. They daven with Havara from Hungary. Did you know that the Baal Shem Tov daven like a Litvak? Baruch Ato Hashem. But Hasidim that come from Hungary, they say Burich Atu, and they won't change it. Similar to like an American that says Baruch Ato Hashem, and 100 years later, no, my minhag is to say Baruch Ato Hashem. No, that Hasidim, they stick to what they do. So imagine if somebody came today in our generation and said, we got to change Yiddishkeit a little. We have to do it like this. We have to bring a piano into the shul, and it'll be in guitars, during Shachar. The Chassidim will be the first ones to come out against it. I'm just saying, in there, how do you change something? And that's what happened then. The Baal Shem Tov and his Talmidim, they were changing a little bit of how the Avodas Hashem was going, to put emphasis more on Avodas Hashem, on the Simcha, and this and that. So, that being said, I want to show you a very, very controversial thing. Very controversial. And this is not Chas v'Shalom Tanakh Hasidim. I'm saying something that happened 250 years ago, and today it's very different. Today Hasidim are not Hasidim, Litvaks are not Litvaks, we're all the same, the whole thing. But, just to show you what the Gedolim of that generation, the Noda B'Yehuda, the Goladar, he's talking about, it's very famous, this thing. I'm not being mechadish anything, this is Tzadik Gimel. He's talking about if you're allowed to say, L'Shem Yichud Kutshu Brichu, the Hasidim say. So he says, Al B'Dereinu, it's like 6 lines from the bottom, people left the Torah. They left the Bavli. They're not learning. Everybody says, I'm the guy that has it. And just because of me, the world is existing. These are the guys that are destroying the generation. And I'm saying on this orphaned generation, Yisharim, this is the passage that we just read. Yisharim darkei Hashem, v'tzadikim yelchu bam, v'chasidim yikashlu bam. It's a very, very strong lashon, and that's the snagdos. That's what they call the snagdos of the Litvaks against the Chasidim in that generation. I'm saying it because people don't really talk about it. Just understand what was going on in that. And again, chas v'shalom, I'm not knocking Chasidim. I just want to say the history that people in yeshiva, they didn't really teach it to us. And they're like, they didn't. The Noda B'Yehuda regretted it later on in his life, and the Gra wasn't accepted into Shamayim. I was there, I saw they tried to come in and they kicked him out. Whatever it is, you have to know what happened back then. Torah Rabbana. It says in the Pasuk, you shouldn't do wrong when it comes to measurements, to weight, and Mesura is liquids. Bamido zumididas karka. What does it mean to measure? Like a guy, what do they call them? I keep on forgetting. The surveyor. Thank you. The surveyor, he measures. Now, he's not trying to steal, but he's measuring improperly. Why? Let's say 2 brothers hire a professional to measure. So, he shouldn't measure for one brother in the summer when his string is dried out and it's shorter. And in the winter, it's stretched out, and the other guy gets more. It's also for you to put your weights in salt. According to Rashi and the Rashban, we had Rashi as well, it adds weight to the weight. According to Taisim, it says no, the opposite. It erodes the metal. It's going to make it less. But like Ari said before, you're over as you put the weights into the salt without weighing, you're over on this Isser. B'Masura, Shelo Yartiach. Oh, Givaldik, a picture of Yartiach. Yartiach is this. The froth, what is it called on top? The foam, the froth, whatever you want to call it. Don't cheat. We know how to pour a bottle of beer to make sure it doesn't happen. And you go like this. You shake it up real good, and then you go like that. Yishkoyach. Oh, I just gave you a liter of a mug full. It's not true. You gave him a half. The article says is a half an ounce, approximately. So it's nothing. On a half an ounce, the Torah said, don't froth it up. Don't give him foam. It could be the Torah, it could be the Torah. All these giant measurements, half of an eighth, a 16th. Kitzer, don't cheat anyone. If the Torah says not on a half an ounce, certainly not on 100 ounces. It's also for you to leave in your house. You got to destroy it. A measuring device that is missing. Like this person that was doing at my brother's house, he was doing the interior design. They were from England, so he said, maybe you want a urinal in your house? A urinal. All of it is a urinal. So a guy has a urinal. I have a great idea. I want to sell you some flour. I have a urinal. Let me pull it out. He pulls it out from the closet, wipes it down a little bit, measures the flour in the urinal. And don't use it for that. Now here's the problem. Look what it says. It says mafurish in the Torah. Lo yelecha beveischa. You shouldn't have in your house efa ve'efa, the wrong size. G'day luktana. So what's Rav being mechadish? Rav's mechadish that exact halacha. Even if it's disgusting like a urinal, you also shouldn't keep it there. Who's going to use it? No, maybe one day you'll wipe it down. Or only in a place that they don't have a signature, they don't have a seal from the government. It's not going to cause any damage. People look for that seal. You don't have people inspecting once in a while. Inspectors. But if there's inspectors, nobody's going to fall for it. Nobody's going to use it. It's not true. Erev Shabbos, sometimes people do crazy things. Like over here in Mabit Shemesh in the Merkaz, I always talk about these pipes that come out of the ground. They go like this. It's for the tumah that's on the ground. The bodies that are buried there, the Kohanim should be able to cross the street over there. So they did an escape for the tumah. So Erev Yom Kippur one year, they came with a bunch of cement 2 hours before Yom Kippur, and they poured the cement underneath. So now they were concerned that weeds will grow and will clog it up. So instead of talking to the city, they figured it's going to be too much they poured their own cement, and now nothing can grow there. Now, if anybody from the city comes and says, why is there cement there? They figure, that's how they probably built it. A lot of stuff here. On Nachal Noam 26, check it out. The guy builds it. No, I'm just kidding. That's not his address. But there's a guy that every Erev Shabbos, when he wants to build under the ground, 2 hours before Shabbos, they come with the machines. They start cutting windows. You remember the windows? No one knows what I'm talking about. Anyways, Ayin Chum and Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day.